I caught my husband lying shirtless in my son's bed, stroking his hair while whispering something I couldn't hear. My son just stared at him. No words, no fear, just silence. That moment, it broke something in me I can never fix. Before I tell you the rest, thanks to all my grifters to our channel. And don't forget to leave a comment below. Your thoughts matter more than you know. My name is Angela. I've been married to Joseph for 19 years. We have one son, Jordan. He just turned 17. Our life was quiet, simple. We weren't rich, but we were okay. We had dinner together most nights. We went to church on Sundays. Nothing ever felt off. Until it did. It started small. Joseph began paying extra attention to Jordan. Like, too much? He'd compliment his looks in ways that didn't sound like fatherly pride. You're growing up too fast. Look at those shoulders. You're gonna break some hearts. I'd laugh it off at first. Thought it was normal. Boys love hearing praise from their dads. But then I started noticing little things. One night, I came home from work early. Joseph didn't hear me walk in. Jordan was on the couch, sweaty from basketball practice. Shirt off. Joseph was sitting too close. Too close. He had his hand resting on Jordan's knee. And he was smiling in this soft, strange way. My chest tightened. I called his name. They jumped apart like kids caught stealing. Babe, you're home early. Yeah, I can see that. Jordan didn't say a word. Just walked to his room like nothing happened. I didn't sleep that night. Joseph tried to touch me in bed, but I couldn't let him. My mind was spinning. What did I see? Was I overthinking? Was I crazy? A few nights later, I woke up at 2 a.m. The bed beside me was empty. I checked the bathroom. Nothing. Then I heard a sound. From Jordan's room. I tiptoed across the hall, heart pounding in my chest. The door was cracked open just enough. And what I saw? He was lying there, next to Jordan. No shirt. One hand in Jordan's hair. The other, hidden under the blanket. Jordan was awake. And watching him. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just stood there. Frozen. Joseph didn't even notice me. When I finally backed away, I went into the kitchen and sat on the floor. For hours. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat on the kitchen floor, knees to my chest, trying to breathe. By morning, I was still there. Joseph walked in like nothing happened. He poured himself coffee. Looked at me sitting on the tiles, like I was the one losing it. Didn't you sleep? He asked. I stared at him. He stared back, cool, calm, like he didn't have anything to hide. Later that day, I tried to talk to Jordan. He was in his room, headphones on, phone in hand. I asked him how things were. He gave me a one-word answer. Fine. I pushed. Asked if he ever felt uncomfortable, pressured. He looked up at me and smirked. Dad treats me like a man. You should try it sometime. My heart dropped. That smirk? That wasn't a boy being cocky. That was someone who knew he had power. And that power came from my husband. A few days later, I went into Joseph's office. He had a drawer he always kept locked. He left the key on his desk that morning. I opened it. Inside were Polaroids. Old ones. New ones. Of Jordan. Sleeping. Shirtless. Some were taken in the shower. Steam on the glass. Jordan's silhouette behind it. I nearly threw up. That night, I didn't speak to either of them. I made dinner. They ate like it was a regular day. Laughing. Trading glances. Jordan reached over and touched Joseph's hand. Not in a son-father way. In a way that felt different. Joseph didn't pull away. He smiled. And then he looked at me right in my eyes like he was daring me to say something. I started sleeping in the guest room. And one night, I woke up to a sound at the door. It was Joseph. He stood there, shirtless, breathing heavy. You know I still love you, right? I couldn't answer. He walked in, sat beside me on the bed, placed his hand on my thigh. I froze. "You've been distant lately," he whispered. I pulled his hand away. "Don't touch me. You're not who I married." He chuckled soft, low. "I'm still me. Just more honest now." And then he said something I'll never forget. "He needs me in ways you never did." I still don't know what hurt more, the betrayal, or the way Jordan looked at me the next morning, like I was the outsider. The next week, I stayed home from work. I pretended to be sick. I waited until they both left. Then I went into Jordan's room. I searched everything: drawers, bags, under the bed. And what I found? A small box, wrapped in a t-shirt. Inside, a chain, with a locket. I opened it. On one side, a picture of Jordan. On the other side, Joseph. They were kissing. That was the moment I knew. This wasn't just obsession. This was a love story. And I wasn't part of it. They came home that evening, laughing again. Their hands brushed. They stood too close in the kitchen. Joseph called me honey, like he used to. Jordan stood behind him, watching me, like he was daring me to speak. Like he was saying, "He's mine now." I kept quiet. But in my head, I screamed. That night, I lay awake again. This time, I didn't cry. I just stared at the ceiling, wondering how the hell my life got here. I was a wife, a mother. But in that house, I felt like a stranger. A shadow watching something I was never meant to see. The next morning, Joseph kissed my forehead before leaving for work. It felt rehearsed. Fake. He'd never kissed me like that when it mattered. Only now when it felt like he was covering tracks. Jordan left a few minutes later. Backpack slung over one shoulder. He stopped at my door. Smiled. "You look tired, Mom. Want me to bring you something after school?" I nodded. But inside, I hated that smile. That calm, smug little smile. Like he knew he'd taken something from me and wasn't sorry. Later that day, I went into our bedroom. I sat on Joseph's side of the bed and opened the drawer I hadn't touched in months. Love letters. Old ones. From me. He'd saved them. But buried under those? New ones. Different handwriting. They were from Jordan. Small notes, ripped from a journal. "Last night was perfect. I dreamed of you again. I hate that we have to pretend around her. Soon, it'll just be us." I pressed the paper to my chest. I couldn't breathe. They weren't just involved. They were in love. That night, I tried to feel normal. I made dinner. Their favorite, grilled salmon, mashed potatoes, and sweet corn. We sat at the table like a family. Except we weren't. Not anymore. "This is good," Joseph said, chewing. "Thanks," I replied. Jordan reached across the table and wiped something from Joseph's lip with his thumb. Their eyes met. Right there. In front of me. I dropped my fork. They both turned toward me. I forced a smile. "I'm not hungry." I went upstairs. Into the guest room. Locked the door. Sat in the dark. I could hear them downstairs, laughing again. That same low, secret laugh that used to be ours. Hours passed. Then I heard footsteps. Soft. Coming up the stairs. Then a knock. Just once. Then silence. I didn't answer. The next morning, Joseph acted like nothing happened. Jordan too. Except when I passed him in the hallway. He leaned in and whispered something that made my skin crawl. "You know, Mom, if you ever want to join us, just knock." I froze. He walked away like it was nothing. Like he hadn't just shattered what was left of me. That evening, I watched them from the window. They were in the backyard. Jordan shirtless, sweaty from mowing the lawn. Joseph stood behind him, holding a towel, wiping his neck. Jordan leaned back into him, closed his eyes. They stood there for too long. Too close. My stomach turned. I picked up my phone. I started typing a message to my sister, then deleted it. Who would believe me? Who would believe my husband and my son were? No. I couldn't even type it. Later that night, I found Joseph in the kitchen. Alone. Shirtless again. He poured himself a drink and leaned against the counter. You've been distant, he said. I stared at him. You think I don't see what's going on? He took a slow sip. You always see things, but never clearly. He's your son, I whispered. Joseph smiled. He's more than that. What does that mean? He stepped closer. You wouldn't understand, Angela. You never gave yourself to me the way he does. I slapped him. Hard. He didn't flinch. Just walked away. I stood there alone again, wondering if it was too late to burn the whole house down. I didn't tell anyone. Not my sister. Not my best friend. Not even the mirror version of me I stopped recognizing. Every time I tried to say it out loud, the words felt like poison. My husband is in love with our son. How do you explain that? How do you admit that you've been sleeping in the same house under the same roof? With two people who've replaced love with obsession? Joseph didn't hide it anymore. Jordan didn't either. They'd laugh in the kitchen like lovers. They whispered on the stairs. Sometimes, I'd walk into the living room and find Jordan sitting in Joseph's lap. Just sitting, like it was normal. Like I was the one invading something private. And yet, part of me couldn't leave. Not yet. Because I needed to understand why. Why him? Why now? Why not me? That night, I tried to reclaim something. I put on the nightgown Joseph used to like, the sheer one, soft pink, low at the chest. I stood at our bedroom door. He was lying in bed, reading. He looked up, paused, then smiled. Wow, you haven't worn that in a while. Do you remember the last time I did? He nodded. Yeah. Jordan was only 10. I stepped inside. Slowly. Do you miss me? I asked. He didn't answer right away. Then he said something that shattered whatever hope I had left. I miss what you used to be. I walked out. I didn't cry. There were no more tears left. Later that week, I found something in Jordan's laundry basket. A bottle of cologne. But not just any cologne. Joseph's. I sprayed it into the air. That same scent that used to drive me crazy now made me nauseous. That night, I stayed up again. 2:14 a.m. I heard them. In Jordan's room. Laughter. Whispering. Then silence. Then the creaking of the bed. Slow. Rhythmic. I pressed my pillow over my ears. But my imagination was louder than the walls. The next morning, Jordan walked past me, his shirt inside out. Joseph followed behind him, whistling. I wanted to scream. Instead, I baked a cake. The one Jordan liked, chocolate fudge with strawberries. They came home and smiled when they saw it. Jordan kissed my cheek. Joseph rubbed my shoulder. And for a moment, we looked like a family again. Until I walked past Jordan's room later that evening and saw the cake, half eaten, on the bed, next to a pair of boxers. Not his. Joseph's. I stood there, and in that moment, I knew I couldn't just watch anymore. I had to decide. Stay and go mad, or do something that would make them pay. But what could I do? I couldn't report them. I couldn't expose them without ruining Jordan's life. He was still my son. Still mine. But every day, he slipped further away, deeper into Joseph's world. And I was just the woman who washed their sheets. I stopped talking to them. Stopped cooking. Stopped pretending. I just watched. Quiet. Invisible. Like a ghost in my own home. But I wasn't gone. I was paying attention. Every glance. Every whisper. Every time they disappeared into Jordan's room and came out with flushed cheeks and smirks. I saw it all. Then one day, I bought a small audio recorder. Cheap. Easy to hide. I placed it in the hallway vent, right between Jordan's room and ours. The next morning, I played it back while they were gone. Their voices. Muffled, but clear enough. Joseph. She's catching on. Jordan. Let her. What's she gonna do? Joseph. You don't feel bad? Jordan. About what? Loving you. Joseph laughed. Jordan said. Let her break. Let her burn. My hand trembled. I played it again. Then again. until I had memorized every word. That night, they sat on the couch, watching a movie, Jordan's head on Joseph's shoulder, Joseph's fingers lazily stroking his hair. And I stood in the hallway, gripping my phone, ready to record. But I didn't press the button. Not yet, because I wanted more. I wanted the truth. I wanted to see how deep it really went. The next day, I told them I was traveling for the weekend. A church retreat. Joseph looked surprised. Jordan smiled. Good for you, Mom. You need it. I packed a bag, drove down the street, parked behind a gas station, waited, then circled back around, and quietly let myself in through the back door. They thought I was gone. I stayed downstairs, listened, watched the clock. Around 11 p.m., I crept upstairs. Slow, careful. Jordan's door was slightly open. I peeked through. They were in bed, shirts off, under the sheets. Joseph's hand was on Jordan's chest. Jordan was whispering something, laughing. I didn't watch long. I didn't need to. I had enough. I went downstairs, pulled out my phone, recorded a voice note. Just my voice. Day 1. They think I'm gone. But I saw them. I saw everything. This isn't love. It's control. And I'm going to expose it when the time is right. By Monday morning, I had 5 recordings, 3 videos, and 1 journal filled with dates, times, and every filthy thing I'd witnessed. But I still wasn't ready, because part of me, the weak part, still wanted to ask, why? Why him? Why our son? That evening, I waited until Jordan was in the shower. Joseph came into the kitchen. I looked him in the eye. Do you love him? He blinked. Who? You know who. He set his cup down. Love doesn't have rules. But it has lines, Joseph. And you crossed everyone. He stepped closer. Voice soft. Angela, you stopped seeing me years ago. He didn't. He's your son. He's a man. I slapped him again. Harder than before. He didn't hit back. He just smiled. That calm, chilling smile. You're not strong enough to leave. And you're too scared to tell. I didn't respond. I didn't have to. Because now? I wasn't just watching. I was waiting. Waiting for the right moment to burn them both down. It was the way he looked at him. Like Jordan was the answer to every question Joseph never asked me. Like the man who used to worship my body now found something holier in the hands of our son. I started changing the way I moved around the house. Softer. Slower. I wore tighter clothes again. Low necklines. No bra. Just like I used to before Jordan grew into the man his father now craved. At first, they pretended not to notice. But I caught the way Joseph's eyes followed me from behind his glasses, the slight pause when I bent to pick something up, the sharp inhale when I leaned over the sink in a silk robe, water glistening down my thighs. Jordan noticed too. One night, he walked into the kitchen while I was cleaning up in nothing but a tank top and lace shorts. He stood behind me. Too close. You look different, he said. I feel different, I whispered. He didn't move. Neither did I. The silence between us pulsed. Then he reached for a glass and brushed my arm. A spark. A crackle. My own son. I hated myself for the shiver that ran through me. But I didn't stop him. He leaned in close enough that I could feel his breath on my shoulder. You smell like Dad. I turned to face him slowly. He used to smell like me. He stared. Then smiled that dangerous, knowing smile, and walked away. That night, Joseph came to our bed. For the first time in months. He didn't say anything, just lay beside me. I didn't touch him, but I didn't move either. We stayed there, inches apart, drowning in memories of what we used to be. His breathing grew heavier. He turned toward me, placed a hand on my waist. Angela. His voice cracked. What are we doing? I looked at him, then passed him out the bedroom door, into the hallway where I knew Jordan was listening. Losing. The next morning, Jordan was cold. Didn't greet me. Didn't eat breakfast. Didn't say goodbye. Joseph was quieter too. Something had shifted. And I smiled for the first time in weeks. Because they were both shaken. By me. By the thought that I wasn't done. That I still had power in this twisted triangle. That night, I wore red. The dress Joseph loved. Backless. Soft. Deep at the chest. I cooked steak. Poured wine. We sat just the three of us. No one spoke. But the tension? It was thick. Dripping. Halfway through dinner, I stood up and walked to the sink. Bent over slightly. Knowing their eyes were on me. I turned my head. Do either of you want dessert? Jordan's fork paused midair. Joseph coughed. I licked my lips and stared at the floor. Didn't think so. I didn't sleep that night. Neither did they. We were all in our separate rooms, tangled in silence, guilt, and heat. Each of us thinking the same thing. Who really has the power now? It started with a whisper. Jordan passed me in the hallway close enough to feel the heat between our bodies. He stopped. His lips brushed my ear. I see what you're doing. I didn't flinch. Do you like it? He didn't answer. But his eyes dropped to my mouth before walking away. That night, I left my bedroom door cracked open. Just a little. Just enough. I lay on the bed, one leg draped over the other, the red nightgown slipping from my shoulder. And I waited. Minutes passed. Then, footsteps. Soft. Careful. Joseph stood at the door, watching. I didn't move. I didn't blink. I wanted him to feel it. The ache of what he lost. The desire of what he gave away. The fear that maybe, just maybe, I was no longer his. He came in. Sat at the edge of the bed. Didn't say a word. Just stared at my bare thigh. Why now? I whispered. He shook his head. Because I thought I could replace you. With our son. His jaw tightened. He reached out. Touched my ankle. Slowly dragged his hand up. My breath caught. But I didn't stop him. Then the hallway creaked. We both froze. Jordan stood there. Watching. Not angry. Not surprised. Just amused. Like he saw it coming. Like he was waiting for it. He walked into the room. 3 of us now. 1 bed. Too much history. Too much heat. Too many secrets. No one spoke. But we all felt it. Something wild. Twisted. Wrong. And just clinking cutlery and the heaviness of what we'd become. A woman. A husband. A son. 3 people tangled in something they could never name out loud. But I had already made up my mind. This wasn't going to destroy me. It was going to define me. That afternoon, while Joseph and Jordan were out, I made copies of everything. The voice recordings. The videos. The journal entries. The text messages I'd found on Joseph's phone. All stored in a cloud folder labeled insurance. Then I called a lawyer. I filed for divorce. Cited irreconcilable cruelty. Didn't mention the rest, not in words, not yet. I wasn't doing it for justice. I was doing it for control. Because now I had it. When they returned, I was sitting at the kitchen table with 2 envelopes. I handed Joseph his, then Jordan. Joseph opened it first. Read it. Eyes darkening. You're leaving. I nodded. No. I'm letting you go. Jordan flipped his envelope over. Inside? A note that read, You were supposed to be my son. You chose to be my rival. Neither of them spoke. Because they knew it was over. Not just the marriage. Not just the affair. But the game. I packed quietly. Left the house by nightfall. Didn't cry. Didn't shake. Because for the first time in months, I felt clean. Let the world judge me. Let the whispers come. Because at the end of it all, they destroyed something sacred. And I buried it myself. The last move was mine.